Guys, so today we're going to make some cinnamon buns.
Let's go over the ingredients. Here we have 4.5 cups of flour. This is all-purpose flour. We have 1 cup of milk. We have a half cup of granulated sugar. We have 3 ounces of butter here. 2 eggs. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of instant yeast. So let's get started in putting everything together. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to heat up my milk just a bit so that when I add it to a bowl and I add the butter and the sugar to it, the heat of the milk will help melt the sugar and the butter.
Okay, so here I am adding the warm milk into my bowl, and then I'm adding now the butter. And so because the milk is slightly warm, the butter is going to melt really nicely in our milk there. And as you can see, it's already starting to melt. Of course, now I'm adding our sugar in. Then I added the salt. And I'm just going to stir everything together to help the sugar to dissolve in our mixture there. Okay, so after we have stirred it and it has dissolved nicely, we're now going to mix our yeast in our flour. So I just have the bowl of flour there and I just incorporated the yeast nicely into it, stirring everything together. Okay, so once that's done, we now head over to our stand mixer and we are going to slowly add our flour into the liquid mixture there of the milk and the butter. And of course, we know we had added the sugar already and the salt. So I'm just adding the flour in. I'm also going to add in the eggs at this point in time. So I just added the eggs there. I increased the speed just by 1 notch. And now I'm continuing to add the flour. Alright, so now that I added all the flour, what I am doing now is that I'm switching my paddles. So now I'm adding the dough hook onto my stand mixer. And that is what we're going to use to knead this dough now. You want to knead it for about 8 minutes. So just put on your timer and leave it to do what it has to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just the dough wrapped itself around the dough hook. So I'm just trying to release it from the dough hook. So I'm just, tearing it apart so that I can let the dough fall back into the bowl. and then I'm gonna put it back down and continue to knead the dough. It does look a bit soft there. You might be tempted to add more flour, but don't. You don't need to, because at this point, after we have kneaded the dough for about 8 minutes, we're just gonna put it out onto our lightly floured work surface, and I'm just gonna form it into a rounded ball, and then we're gonna leave the dough to rest. As I've said before, it's best that you leave it to rest as long as possible. The longer you leave it to rest, is the better it is. So I'm just forming it into the ball, as you can see there, nice rounded ball, and then we're gonna put it back into our bowl. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a little coconut oil at the base, at the bottom of the bowl there. Just gonna add a little coconut oil. I'm just rubbing the oil around the bowl, and then I'm gonna put the dough back in, and then I'm gonna add a little coconut oil on the top of the dough and just rub it in there. Good. So after our dough has gotten its little oil massage, all right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cover it with a plastic wrap and leave it to rest. I left mine to rest for about 2.5 hours.
Okay guys, so I left my dough to rest for about 2.5 hours. So now we're just going to put it onto our work surface. I'm going to roll it out. I'm going to spread some butter on it, some sugar, some cinnamon powder, and then I'm going to roll it up. I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces, and then we're going to put it in the oven
to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for between 20 to 30 minutes. Now what I would mention, according to what oven you have, you might want to increase that to 375 if it's a big oven that you have. Because my oven is small, I noticed that if I put it the temperature at 375, it's too hot. So I use my oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And at times what I actually need to do is cover the top of my buns with parchment paper so it doesn't get too brown. Looks so pretty, huh? Okay, let's half this now. Let's see, how should I half it? This way? Okay, so now that I have halved my dough, I'm just gonna form it into a ball because it just makes it easier to work when it's in that shape. This is the one I'm going to work with. And now we're going to roll out this dough into, we're going to try to get a rectangular shape. Okay, so now we're going to spread some soft butter on our roll-out dough. So I'm just using my knife there. I'm just spreading the butter all on the dough. And then we're going to sprinkle that with some brown sugar. So we want to get the brown sugar all around, all on the sides. After spreading the brown sugar, I'm now going to add some cinnamon powder because we're making cinnamon buns. So add your cinnamon powder and then we're going to try to roll it in. So we just take our time and just roll it, get it into a nice cylinder. Nice. So we have our dough all rolled up and now all is left to do is cut it up now into the shape of our rolls or our buns. Okay, so now I'm going to place my cinnamon buns on a parchment paper on my baking sheet. I always find parchment paper very easy to work with because you can easily remove items from it and it doesn't stick. Okay, so now we're going to leave our cinnamon buns to rest. I'm going to cover it and leave it to rest for about an hour and a half before we're going to put it into the oven. Right, as you can see, after resting, it has risen up nicely. So now we're going to put it into the oven at 300, and in my case, 350 degrees Fahrenheit for between 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay guys, our cinnamon rolls are now completed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notification, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. See you in my next video. Bye for now.